what I've seen in the field is, you could have everything perfectly set up. You have your cases scheduled for the day, and then things that are out of your control affect your numbers and your territory. So unfortunately, you can have the best laid plan, but there are other factors that you may not be able to influence besides your product, how good of a service you deliver, the case support you might be able to offer, all the times you've gone the extra mile. And unfortunately, there's just things that you can't help with.
Welcome to the Medical Sales Accelerator podcast. I'm your host, Zed Williamson. I want you to think about the perfect customer of yours. They love your technology. They're actually open to the idea of using something new, and they feel like it's a benefit to their patients. They have the patients in their practice that your technology can help. Everything is aligned for you to see massive growth in your numbers, and they stay flat. That's why we're speaking with our guest today, Eric Trattler. He is a managing director at Physician Growth Accelerator. Eric, so good to have you here.
Zed, thanks for having me on the show again. Really excited to be back and really share what we've been working on over the last 14 months here at Physician Growth Accelerator. So excited to be back on the show and talk to you and let your guests know what's new and exciting out there in the world of private medical practices.
Awesome. Now, I set the show up, and it was a scenario that a lot of our listeners likely experience where everything is aligned and then something out of their control impacts their numbers. And just so the audience knows, you actually were in their shoes. You were selling medical device. Walk me through what you experienced in that role from a standpoint of what could potentially impact your sales that wasn't related to you or your technology.
Well, it's such a good question, Zed, because I've been in medical device sales for now almost 15 years in a variety of sales and marketing roles, and now working with medical device reps as more of a consultant and working with private practices as an operational consultant and leadership coach. And what I've seen in the field is, you could have everything perfectly set up. You have your cases scheduled for the day, and then things that are out of your control affect your numbers and your territory. So unfortunately, you can have the best laid plan, but there are other factors that you may not be able to influence besides your product, how good of a service you deliver, the case support you might be able to offer, all the times you've gone the extra mile. And unfortunately, there's just things that you can't help with. And I think that's where Physician Growth Accelerator can be such a key part of your business, because that's really the ethos of the company. We go in there and help these private medical practices become more operationally efficient. And when we're able to do that, we touch areas of the business that, normally you don't even think about.
Yeah. As a medical device rep, you might do something as simple as call the office that you work with, and you can't get to anybody. If you can't get to anybody, patients can't get to anybody. You might be witnessing defensiveness between employees, where that the physician business owner or leader wants to achieve something, but it's almost an eye roll from the rest of the team, and it's a barrier. But as a medical device rep, there's only so much you can do. Or did you experience any of that kind of pushback in your role in medical device with practices?
Yeah, it wasn't all roses and daisies walking into some of these medical practices. I was fortunate or unfortunate to work in Philadelphia, New Jersey, New York City, some of the really toughest people, no offense to anybody else, but in the country, where people are just difficult. And you walk into these offices and you go in there and you're adding value, but you walk into these offices and you see aggravated patients, you see people waiting around, you see front desks slamming the clipboard, or what's your name? Sit down, we'll be with you. People been waiting there for hours. And then you think to yourself, how are we going to get this? Is a disaster. How can we fix it? And as a rep, what can I do to fix it? I can't go in there and start manning the front desk. I can't start coaching these employees on how to interact with people. I can't stop the bickering and drama behind the front desk or in the break room. I mean, I think we've all seen it, but all these factors contribute to inefficiencies. And I think that's really something that we can fix right now.
Yeah. And what I want the audience to understand is the structure that the Physician Growth Accelerator has created is it's an operational consulting and leadership coaching for medical practices. The key is it's do it with you style. So in other words, it's not a consultant where it's like, hey, this is what's wrong. Here's what you should fix. It's, hey, here's the issue. Here's how we fix it with you going over time. And kind of the results you're seeing are these smaller practices are driving, huge revenue increase, which means they're using more technology. If someone increases the treatment of a certain patient type by 20%, medical device sees that in their numbers. Am I off base with that at all?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. And for reps in the field, this means that your clients have more capacity. They also now have more budget. So isn't that awesome to have more budget to adopt new technology, less pushback about costs going up, reimbursement going down, but they're seeing more patients, they're becoming more efficient, and a thriving practice is more likely to invest in innovative tools and upgrades that we've all tried to sell or are currently selling in the field. And I think that that's one of the things we've been seeing. And just to go back to the point you made earlier about consultants and actually doing the work, the majority of the practices we work with, they've had a bad experience with a previous consultant. And you know what? That's awesome. We love to hear that because we're bringing a totally different perspective and we're used to the pushback. So if you hear a customer saying, I've tried this, we've used a consultant before, it was a waste of our time. We didn't implement any of the tools. I think that's one of the big differentiators that we're trying to bring as Physician Growth Accelerator is our team is going to do the heavy lifting. We're not going to put together a bunch of documents and say, okay, here's what you need to do. You need to go hire people. You need to go reorganize your schedules. No, we're going to get in there and do the majority of the work for these teams so that they feel like they're getting great value and then it's not an extra burden on them.
Well, and I think the other potential benefit that a medical device rep could take away from this conversation is you are likely a innovative person because you work in medical device and you see these issues, and some of the issues that you see practices deal with might seem silly to you that they can't figure out how to fix it. And so you might go down the path of researching things, and then you find vendors and maybe they have a little service that might help here and there. But the challenge is many of those vendors aren't really clear on the business of healthcare, either private practice or medical device. And one thing that's pretty exciting, Eric, is you were basically in the street carrying a bag, selling devices. You understand where that person comes from. You've walked in their shoes. And now you're on the side witnessing the impact of repairing these constraints within private practice and how that influences the impact on the business, the culture in the practice, how much those employees enjoy working, the owner of the practice and the goals they're able to achieve, but that flow through to medical device. So for the medical device reps out there who are thinking, I do have this practice and they are struggling and I don't really know how to help them, there's a couple things you can do. You can go to physiciangrowthaccelerator.com and look at some of the resources, some of the podcast episodes, and even the diagnostic to see where are some of these issues really popping up for this practice. But if you don't want to do that type of research, one of the easiest things to do is set up a quick call with Eric. And I hope you don't mind me saying that, Eric, but the idea is he's been in your shoes. In a 5-minute conversation, he'll be able to determine, would it make sense to make an introduction or not from a standpoint of value to you? Am I off with that suggestion?
No, it's funny. I think you almost said I carried the bag and a badge, and you're right. Sometimes I felt like I was carrying a badge and being a police officer. for some of these practices and dealing with some employees. But that's you pretty much summed up the process right there. It's not a we're going to be doing a PowerPoint presentation and boring people to death. No, it's understanding quick conversation over the phone with you. You know their business just as well as them, sometimes better. You know, you understand the pain points from the outside looking in. And if there's a pain point that you're consistently witnessing, let's talk about it over the phone and then see if there's a program, because a lot of these fixes, we actually have programs built out that we can implement to make immediate change. And this is not we're going to have to wait 6 months to see results. We've been seeing results in weeks. It's pretty powerful. It's pretty incredible to see the turnaround and the programs working and the results going straight to the bottom line of the practice. And then, I don't want to be the hero. I want you to be the hero. I want this to be your idea. So I want to make sure that you're front and center and we go shoulder to shoulder in this process, and that you're going to be the quarterback running, calling the plays, and our team is going to be executing. And that's just the way I like to work as a partner with you. And that's the way I've been most successful when I was in the field and implementing kind of out of the box ideas and out of the box thinking to grow my territory.
Yeah, you reminded me of something that's pretty powerful when you call out that what you're doing is you're helping the medical device rep be the hero. And it's a deep level. Like as a medical device rep out there, you know how much trust there is in you, how much trust there has to be in your connection with your customers. And you get these wins, and they're wins that some of your customers, you probably are high-fiving them, cheersing, whatever. The type of win that your customer can achieve with the Physician Growth Accelerator is being excited Sunday night that the next day is Monday. And that's a pretty powerful win. Not a lot of people get to achieve that feeling of, I can't wait for Monday. Thank God it's Monday. TGIM. We should come up with a hat that says that. But
And I think
that's powerful.
And I think for sure that we get a lot of inbound requests as well. And a common theme that we've been hearing is, I'm a business owner. I'm too busy. I'm doing everything myself. We're good. It's successful, but I'm so stressed out. I have to do everything. I need help. And if you see someone that's just, they might be successful, but they're so stressed out that they got to work the weekends and do charting on the weekends and come in and deal with employee drama and headaches. I think that's where we come into play, is their biggest frustrations that they're dealing with. Those are things that our team can really jump right in and fix for them and give them their most valuable asset back, which is time. So they can get time to see more patients, or even time to spend with their family and friends and things that they weren't able to do because they were so bogged down, because the administrative burden right now of running a business and then a medical business is harder than ever. So it's great to have some other tools that you can use and implement to help you.
I think a good next step, if you're a medical device rep out there and you have a customer who's struggling on the business side of their practice, is connect with Eric, have a quick chat, and find out, does it make sense? And what we'll do is we will put your contact information as a link in the podcast notes. You can find Eric on LinkedIn, and you can also go to physiciangrowthaccelerator.com.
We also, Zed, we have some great case studies, reviews, things I can share with you if you reach out as a good first step, just to learn more about the process, learn more about our results, and then we can take it from there. So look forward to hearing from you, and I'll leave my email and cell phone number in the show notes. Thanks for
Perfect.
having me on, Zed.
Absolutely. Thank you. Make it a great week, everybody. And we'll see you next time on the Medical Sales Accelerator podcast. Bye.